What's going on, guys? I'm the Walrus Jedi, and in today's video I have a big video that has taken me a while to make, and it is my Star Wars Jedi Survivor review. Please consider liking and subscribing this video if you like videos on Star Wars games and stuff and other Star Wars videos, and there will be spoilers for the game, so this is your warning. It's been out for a while, and now, the story. In this game, you play as Cal Kestis 5 years after the events of the previous game, Jedi Fallen Order. Cal is on Coruscant when the Ninth Sister, an Inquisitor, who survived the events of the first game, shows up and kills some of the crew that Cal is working with. Cal duels the Ninth Sister and defeats her. He heads for the planet Kobo after losing, part of his new crew. And this is where Grease is. Cal crashes the Mantis on Kobo. He manages to find Grease at his cantina, Pyloon's Saloon. After you explore some of Kobo, you discover a chamber with a tank. Inside this tank is a man. He is a Jedi from the High Republic called Dagan Gera. Cal frees Dagan, but Dagan turns to the dark side, and after a duel leaves Kobo. Grease gets the Mantis fixed, and he and Cal go to Jeddah to see Cere. Cal meets Marin on Jeddah, and together they go to Cere, and Cal tells Cere of Dagan and finds out that Eno Cordova, Cere's master, is still alive. The group decide to stop Dagan, so Cal goes to Kobo's moon. Another duel with Dagan happens there, and Cal learns more about Dagan and the tech on Kobo and the moon through this ability called psychometry, which allows him to see things when touching items. It's an ability that a few other Jedis have had in the past, Quinlan Voss and Rey, because Rey has to have every power. Cal then learns that Dagan's goal is to reach Tanalorr, an elusive world perfect to hide from the Empire. Cal does manage to stop Dagan and gain a device to help guide him to Tanalorr, but that is when Bode Akuna, a friend who had been helping Cal and was part of the crew on Coruscant for most of the game, he betrays Cal and tells the Empire about Jeddah, and it is destroyed. And you play as Cere as she duels Darth Vader, but obviously she loses. Cal then tracks Bode to an Imperial facility on Nova Garen, and he tries to get the device to go to Tanalorr, who Bode had stole back. He fails, and, they find out there is another way to Tanalorr. Cal activates the observatories on Kobo and the moon, and he and the Mantis crew go to Tanalorr. On Tanalorr, Cal fights Bode, who it is revealed is an ex-Jedi and has fallen to the dark side, as evidenced by his red lightsaber. Bode is given multiple chances to yield and live despite his betrayal, but he does not, so Cal unfortunately has to kill him, leaving his daughter Kata to be cared for and taught by Marin and Cal. And the game ends with a funeral for Cere, Eno Cordova, and Bode Akuna. Now, some little bits that are like the first game. Like in the first game, you find force echoes, which are basically, they're like things that Cal uses his psychometry on, and you learn a little bit about the people and the lore of whatever planet you're on. And you also find chests, like in the first game, and in these chests you have customization for Cal, like jackets and things like that, different hairstyles, BD1 stuff, and lightsaber parts for that. And you also find stims, which, are basically health potions. And in the first game you would only have your limit is 10, but they upped it for to 20 in this game, so that's kind of cool. And the characters for this game, you obviously have Cal Kestis. He's a human male Jedi. He's the main character. Then you have Marin, and she's a Night Sister. She's in the first game, so kind of obvious. Then you have Sirjenda, Cal's new master. In this game, she sets up a archive on Jeddah, and she's collecting, Jedi lore and all that. And unfortunately, it's mostly destroyed in the events of the game. So then you have Grease. He's the former pilot of the Mantis, and now he owns a cantina called Pyloon's Saloon. You have Bo Dakuna, who is a friend and eventual enemy of Cal. Then you have Ravis. He is a Gendai, and a Gendai is they're this alien species that are really, really difficult to kill, because every time you, let's say with a lightsaber, you cut their arm off, that essentially the arm will like link up with like tentacles, and it'll eventually rejoin. The only other Gendai that we've seen is in the 2003 Clone Wars, when you have Dirge. Then you have Dagan Gera, the High Republic Jedi. He's got one arm, so that's kind of interesting. And then you have Bode's daughter, Kata, and she is now in the capable hands of Cal and Marin. And I'm sure in the next game, the third Jedi game, she's gonna get trained, because her dad's a Jedi, or I guess a ex-Jedi, but so she could have the Force, is what I'm saying, in the next game. So that could be cool. And now I will do some more side characters. First up, you have Skuva Stev. He's a Sakavian, from Sakavi Tar, and in the game you find him throughout Kobo and a little bit on Jeddah, and he catches fish to put in the fish tank that's in Pyloon Saloon, one of the things that's in Pyloon Saloon, and that's pretty cool. Then you have Kaj, and she's a Nautilin from Glee Ansem, and she's a bounty hunter, and she's the one that gives you the bounties for the bounty hunter side missions. And then you have Turgle, and he's an unknown frog-like species, and he's just kind of I don't know, he's a loser, I guess. He gets into trouble a lot, so yeah. And then you have Domadendra. She runs her shop on Kobo. Here you can get some music for the cantina droid that plays music. This game doesn't have money, so at each different shop you exchange different things. So at Domadendra's shop you exchange priorite shards for her wares. The bounty hunter lady, you get the bounty hunter pucks from doing the bounty hunter missions, and you can upgrade your blaster a little bit, and then there's also some customization for the blaster, some pieces. There's also a shop where you exchange data discs, and you can get droid customization parts. And then on Jeddah, you can exchange ancient scrolls for perks. And that's about it for the interesting side characters. And now the planets that you explore in this game. So first up is Coruscant. The aspect of Coruscant, the area that you actually explore on this map, is pretty small, but any part of Coruscant being explorable, I think, is pretty cool, because it's a cool planet to visit and look at. And this is the first planet you explore in the game, and there are cool aspects of Coruscant, like fighting the Jotaz, which is a creature from Jedi Fallen Order, and some notable enemies. You fight stormtroopers, scout troopers. Basically what you would expect to fight in the Imperial army. Very basic stuff like that. And then the next planet is Kobo, and this is the main planet. This serves kind of your home base for the game, and it's the biggest to explore. There are tons of things to do on Kobo. You have, side quests. You can play holo tactics. You can find, fish for the tank, by finding scuba stev throughout the planet. And you can buy customization from the shops here. For Cal and BD, you find collectibles, and you can explore. There are also the Jedi High Republic chambers that you can explore and learn more about the High Republic and that stuff on Kobo. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. So, I mean, this game does a pretty good job of interspersing the High Republic stuff, which, if you're not familiar with it, like I wasn't really that familiar with it. I haven't read any of the books. So this game, I think, did a pretty good job of the High Republic. Oh, it's kind of cool. And then on the Shattered Moon of Kobo, it's a small explorable location with a High Republic station on it, and has Imperials as some of the enemies and the Bedlam Raiders. So it's a bit of a mix, and offer a decent challenge to Cal. Next, you have Jeddah, and this is, where Seer is stockpiling Jedi lore and knowledge for future Jedi. The second largest planet to explore. This one can be a bit of a pain to explore due to the scorpion thing that can come out of the ground at various aspects and kill you. And it has, some rideable creatures in the desert area. You can also buy perks at the shop with ancient scrolls that you find on Jeddah. And obviously this planet is from Rogue One. This is the desert planet you see in Rogue One that the Death Star shoots, that tests its laser on. So next you have Nova Garen. This Imperial Bureau on an asteroid is filled to the gills with Imperials of various, you got Purge Troopers, Stormtroopers, all sorts, nasty stuff. It's pretty small to explore and doesn't offer a whole lot of stuff. Pretty interesting. And then the last planet is Tanalorr, and this is the smallest to explore. It has some cool Easter eggs if you're a fan of, Oppa Rancisis, the snake Jedi guy. That's pretty cool. And this basically serves as a boss arena to fight Bode at the end of the game. And now, you have, on Kobo, you have Rambler's Reach, and, I feel like this deserves its own part of the video, because it's full of stuff to do. I mean, there's tons of buildings. You have Grease's Cantina, Pyloon Saloon, which, obviously, you can recruit people to go there. Like, you can find a DJ droid, you can find, obviously the fisherman guy, Scuba, to fill the fish tank up with fish. There you can find the people that run the holo tactics game. That's pretty cool. And there's some others that add stuff. And as stated, you can play holo tactics, and you can also maintain a garden on the roof of the saloon, which is pretty cool. Tons of plants and stuff like that. Pretty interesting. There is also a cavern below the saloon, so you can explore, and, there is a Rancor down there to fight. And then you have Domadendra's shop in Rambler's Reach, and obviously, as stated before, this is where you can get some customization for Cal and some songs for the DJ droid with Priorite, which you find on Kobo. And there is also a stable here in Rambler's Reach where you can house the mounts you find on Kobo. Alright, next you have some side quests. I'm not going to list every side quest because there's a lot, so I'm just going to talk about a few. There are multiple quests involving exploring the High Republic Jedi chambers. So They're interesting. They kind of serve as a they remind you a lot of the shrines in Breath of the Wild if you've played that Zelda game. They're kind of like that. They're pretty cool, and it's interesting. Serves as a nice little challenge, and they're optional. You don't have to do them. And then there's also several boss. There are several bosses. There are bosses like of giant animals. Like you have the vile Bilemaw, which is basically a giant dinosaur thing that vomits, and this one's really bad. And then you also have you got a Rancor. Actually, you got a few Rancors, and there's other animal bosses. But then there's also elite members of the Bedlam Raiders that have lightsabers that you can fight, stuff like that. Yeah, like all pretty cool stuff. And then next you have customization. You can customize Cal's appearance by changing his hair, facial hair, vest, shirt, and pants. You can also change the color of the clothes with paints that you find on your journey in chests. You can also customize your lightsaber by changing the emitter switch, the crossguard, grip, and the pommel. And then there's obviously, since Cal has a double-bladed lightsaber, there's another emitter on the other side and grip and that. So you can also change the color of these pieces and the condition of your lightsaber. And also you can have different blade colors, and the colors they have in the game are blue, green, purple, yellow, orange, indigo, magenta, and white. And after you have completed the story and unlocked New Game Plus, you have access to red and what is called Party lightsaber. Basically, it just cycles through all the colors. So if you're into that, cool. And BD also has customization, and you can customize his face, his head, his legs, and his body. And you can also change his colorization and his condition. And then obviously your blaster you can change as well with the barrel, the trigger, and the grip. And you can change its condition and color too. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot of they've added quite a bit of customization from the first game, because in the first game you just had ponchos and you could change the color of the mantis and BD1. That's all the customization, but some customization is nice, and this obviously adds upon it, which is really good. All right, now on to the bounty hunting missions. You get to these by speaking to Cadge in Pyloon's saloon, and she will give you bounties on various hunters looking for you on Kobo, Jeddah, Shattered Moon, and Nova Garen. And after getting all of the bounties, you'll have to fight Cadge herself, as she was only offering these bounties as a way of thinning out her competition and upping Cal's bounty so she could cash out and earn a lot of credits by turning Cal in. And you beat her, and then a cutscene activates, and Boba Fett comes in and takes her away, basically. So that's really cool.
That's not how I play. Boba! Boba! Looking slick, buddy.
Cage, it's been a while.
Hey, you two know each other?
We go way back. How about we bringing this Jedi together? Split the bounty right down the middle.
I'm not here for the Jedi.
No, it feels good not to be the target for once.
You have no idea how valuable this woman is.
Well, when you put it that way... Listen up! There's two kinds of people in this galaxy. Those with live thermal detonators, and those without. I trust you boys can do the math. Time's up! Cal! I'm not just gonna let him take me away, right?
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Very well. See you around, Jedi.
And now to what I liked about this game. You have stances, and that's, single blade, double blade. You can dual wield. You have the crossguard stance, and then the blaster stance. So I think crossguard I never really used very much. I didn't like it very much. Throughout basically most of the game, I ended up using single blade stance and the blaster stance. I felt like I liked those, but dual wielding is awesome, and double blade is awesome too. But you get to use double blade in the first game, so I wanted to use some of the other stuff. So yeah, I liked it. I thought it was a good addition. And obviously, you can fight a Rancor. You can actually fight 2 Rancors in this game, so that's awesome. A nice boss fight, I guess. And in this game, I felt like they did a pretty good job with alien characters. There's quite a few side characters and other characters that are aliens. They're not all just humans. So I feel like, and there's a nice variety. Now, some aliens, they don't look as cool as they could. And then, but yeah. And then obviously a nice cameo by Boba Fett. That's fantastic. And, one other thing, the boss fight where you play as Seer fighting Darth Vader, I thought that was awesome. That was a good choice. And I thought that was a fun option. And yeah, so there's a lot to like. I like, obviously, the customization. You can make your Cal look pretty different. They added a Nautolan, and the Nautolan is my favorite alien species. That's cool. I think the story overall is better than the first game, because in the first game, the whole point of the story is you're going after this holocron that has the names of Force-sensitive children, and then once you finally get it, you basically destroy it. So, kind of like, what was the point? I understand that, we better destroy it so the Empire doesn't get it. I understand that, but it almost feels like, well, what was the point of going on this journey then? But in this, the MacGuffin, you could say, the objective, we got to get to Tanalorr. They actually get to Tanalorr. It doesn't get destroyed or taken over by the Empire or whatever. So I'm hoping in the third game they've established some sort of base on Tanalorr, and maybe they use it to help hide Jedi and that. So I think that would be really cool. And I think that would be awesome. I think the planets that they picked for this, I think Kobo was a cool planet, very diverse locations on it. I think it was a good choice, a new planet. Jeddah, I think, I'm glad it wasn't Tatooine. Even though Jeddah can be a bit of a pain in the butt to explore, it's still, I think, a decent choice. And then you have Nova Garen, which, basically is just an Imperial facility. So, I mean, that's cool. And then you have Tanalorr, which is this interesting kind of crystal formations and all that. It's pretty interesting. The Shattered Moon is kind of just a facility. The map is, you're just stuck to the facility. You can't really go outside of that. But yeah, and obviously Coruscant. So we have a couple of pre-existing planets and then brand new. I like that. I think that's a good mix. And I think Coruscant, it's only a shame that we couldn't explore more of Coruscant, but Coruscant is so huge that you do have to limit it at some point. But yeah, so obviously I'm kind of hoping in the third game that Kobo is explorable, because I think that should kind of, yeah, like I'd like to go back there and check on Pyloon Saloon and everything and see how that's going. But Tanalorr probably should be the headquarters for that game, what we're doing there. Yeah, so basically I think Tanalorr and Kobo should return for the next game, but then they can have a bunch of other new planets that I think would be really cool. So yeah, and then obviously, cool appearances by Darth Vader and Boba Fett and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, and now on to stuff I didn't like, which isn't very much. It's basically, I would just say Jedi. It's a pain to navigate, but it's not a huge issue. But, and maybe I didn't put enough time in to try and figure out the best way to explore it. But oh well, it's fun. Yeah, I like I said, I think story-wise pretty good, all that. So yeah, overall, I thought this was a really fun game. I liked the story, and as I said before, I think in terms of story, this is definitely better than the first game. And the side content, side quests, missions, customization, it's all better than the first game. I would say that maybe planet-wise, I liked the planet choice from the first game a little bit better. I like Dathomir. I like Kashyyyk. I like Zepho. All three of those planets were really awesome. And it is a shame that we didn't get at least some minor side quest dealing more with the Zepho stuff, like maybe, especially like talking with Eno Cordova. That would have been awesome, and I would have, yeah. But so overall, I think the game beats Fallen Order. I think it is a better game, and obviously when it launched, it did have bugs and frame rate issues and stuff like that, and they've slowly put patches out and stuff like that. So, but that is a shame. So hopefully for the third game they'll maybe take a little bit extra time and make sure that when they do launch it, it won't have those same issues. So if they need to take some extra time, then by all means do it. We can wait. But yeah, so overall, I'd give this an 8.5 out of 10. It's a really, really good game. I would recommend playing it if you haven't. But obviously play Jedi Fallen Order first. But yeah, play these games. They're really good. Well, what did you think of this game? Did you like this? Did you like Jedi Survivor if you've played it? What's your favorite thing about this game? Do you think it is better than Jedi Fallen Order? Please tell me in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.